us to gather here. Indeed, as is the custom of these Midtown clubs, there needs to be a member to allow access and sponsor the event. So Nick, thank you for your engagement here of not just having a +1, but a +50. So thank you very much. Now in our program, we'll be having 15-minute sessions around innovation stories. So I'd like to invite our first speaker up, Vakhtang, Chief Legal Officer of Fastex. We'll be discussing Fastex in Web3 and Fintech. Please come to the podium.
Thank you. So what is Fastex? I think some of you, especially those living in Armenia, will know what is Fastex. Fastex is a group of companies that operates in the Web3 industries, and not only, more like Fintech and Web3. Fastex is relatively new. It's around 1 year old group of companies. It is founded by Softconstruct, which is the largest technology company in the region, in South Caucasus. And it came to bring the existing developing blockchain technologies and the existing also financial technologies to emerge together and serve for the clients, both businesses and individuals, in the ways that they may need. So what do we have in Fastex generally? As I mentioned, it's a group of companies. We do have the whole group of Fastex, which consists of the crypto exchange, Fastex Exchange, which is a centralized platform where people can purchase crypto with crypto and fiat. Fiat is the money that we hold, like US dollars, right? You can purchase any type of listed tokens that we have available on our exchange, including Fast Token. And Fast Token is our cryptocurrency. Fast Token initially was launched on ERC as ERC20 token on Ethereum chain, but then we also developed our own chain, which is called Fastex chain. We have our layer 1 chain, which enables not only us to kind of facilitate the use of our token, which is becoming the coin of our chain, and also gas in a way for transactions, but also it enables a lot of the company startups to set up their businesses on the chain. Web3 startups, it can be NFT stores, it can be decentralized financial organizations or DAOs. So a lot of things can be deployed on our chain and be used. It's in a very innovative, it has a very innovative structure. I must mention that the company is only, as I mentioned, just 1 year old, but we managed to bring in innovation, which is quite important for various industries. This enables for people who are deploying their smart contracts on our blockchain to not only use our blockchain, but also generate income from that. So if you are staking, because we have proof of stake mechanisms, consensus mechanism, if you have particular amounts of coins and you want to stake and make some additional income because you're block validator and you get rewards, and you also have smart contract deployed on blockchain, you will be able to generate an income. So this is quite beneficial for a lot of like DeFi protocols, organizations which use DeFi protocols. That can be banks, that can be other financial institutions, right? And for some other businesses like NFT stores or things that work with smart contracts, right? Many other businesses work with this way. So I don't want to talk too much technical, so because a lot of you don't have this background, so it's not to make it easy for you to understand. So that's why let me go to other products and services that we provide. So We do have FTNFT. It's an NFT marketplace. We do have 2 stores in Dubai, one in Emirates Mall and one in Dubai Mall. Dubai Mall is the largest mall in the world. These are quite fascinating, innovative solutions, and everybody, like anyone, like young people or people who are enthusiasts of like new technologies, or they want to have their ownership in internet of some sort. That can be music, that can be their avatar, that can be metaverse space, or that can be some image or anything else that can be embedded on blockchain. You can just walk in and buy. You can have your own avatar you can use in particular metaverse space. So it's a lot of technologies and new innovation, and all these brought to the world by Armenians. And the other, we also have First Ticket, which works as a game with our NFT stores. Fastex Pay, which is quite central in our ecosystem. Fastex Pay is not completely ready-made product yet. It's in the process. And what it brings is the existing financial technologies, more like existing payment systems, conventional systems, IBAN or other, whatever it exists now, other than like getting deposits or giving loans, almost like banking services. And also innovative new crypto solutions, like crypto processing, on-off-ramp solutions, etc. So this combines together and gives to the society and the businesses and consumers whatever they may need. So different businesses and different customers will have some different needs, but in existing technology developments, you may, for example, a lot of businesses want to pay with crypto, but they are unable to accept the other side because there are no much of the solutions, right? So this brings both together and enables them to accept both crypto and fiat solutions. So this is pretty much what the group has. Let me go into more details and what we have done and how we succeeded during the last 1 year. So Fastex exchange. As you may know, crypto regulations, we were discussing this the other day as well during the panel discussions. Crypto regulations are not very certain in many jurisdictions. In some jurisdictions, they are. And that creates a lot of challenges for us as kind of a startup in a way. And we as a company are looking all for the jurisdictions. We go to jurisdictions where it is regulated. Where are we now? We are in the European Union now, where we are licensed. We are in Dubai, where we just received our pre-approvals 2 days ago for both FTNFT and Fastex exchange. And we are very much into the Hong Kong market. So we will be launching our Hong Kong office very soon. We announced about that recently. So we are looking also forward to getting into Armenian market as well with FTNFT stores and our crypto exchange. But this comes to also with the work with the government and the regulators. So at the moment, since there is no regulations, there is no clarity in terms of regulatory clarity, we are not stepping into this market yet. FTNFT shops has the similar challenges, and as I mentioned, we also got the pre-approval the other day, and this was quite challenging for us because NFT is such a new thing. Nobody knows how it should be regulated. Even for the regulators, it's not easy to understand. Is this a crypto exchange, NFT marketplace? Is this a broker-dealer? So there was this, until now, only recently, the regulators in Dubai made up their mind what they can treat the business like. So in this kind of unclear situations, even though when the clear rules exist, but there are still some vague kind of situations where you don't know how you will be treated, right? So, and the Fastex page, of course. As I mentioned, we have both fiat solutions and crypto solutions. You can imagine, central banks' view generally is not very pleasant to when crypto is involved, right? And bringing this together is extreme challenge because you have to have both, like you have to be licensed for both type of activities. And having both together is extremely difficult because one may forfeit the process of your licensing in the other sphere. So we are bringing together both the fiat solutions in terms of IBAN, in terms of payment systems providing, and in terms of the payment gateways with the crypto processing and on-from solutions. And these two together will cover European Union, the MENA region, and it will also cover the United Kingdom for the beginning. And Fastex Pay will be available most likely mid next year. Thank you. If you have questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Any questions from the audience? Please, Alexander.
Just a quick one. Just curious to understand whether how we can interact with this trade infrastructure. Is it B2C, B2B? I mean, how
Fastex Pay or?
I mean, overall, the infrastructure which can be utilized to play on that,
Okay.
to purchase some digital assets and to play around that.
Let me go back. So, at the moment, Fastex Exchange is both B2B and B2C. So both institutions can onboard, like a lot of businesses in different industries, they can onboard, and general customers, like it's a B2B and B2C platform. Fastex Pay initially will be just B2B. It will provide services only to the businesses. FT is only solely B2C product because it's for the NFT enthusiasts, young generation, people who are interested in technologies and blockchain and cryptocurrencies, and also art, because we sell both physical art and digital art. Of course, the chain is B2B because businesses generally deploy their smart contracts on our chain, both generating income and having their business operating. But in the meantime, if you are a coin holder, you can make also rewards from that. Since it's with proof of stake, you are validating and generating some income, right? So, so it's a mixture because it's a variety of products in various jurisdictions with various products, various solutions. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much. Very exciting to see the spin out into a conglomerate with Fastex. Our next speaker will be Mindy Gale of Gale Branding, CEO and Creative Director. Welcome, Gale.
Thank you, Emma, especially for inviting me today to speak here at Orion. And thank you. I was kind of wondering why Emma asked me to speak in this section this afternoon about success stories and impact of innovation. And then I thought about it, and I know that Emma knows that I was an innovator in the marketing industry here in New York about 25 years ago. Back in those days, you were an advertising agency and you did creative work, or you were a PR firm and you knew how to get the spin out, or maybe you were a media buying agency. And I realized there was a way to combine and make a more powerful statement when these disciplines work together. On top of that, we save clients a ton of money and a lot of time. Instead of having 3 or 4 point people, you have one. Obviously, the overhead is much more streamlined. So anyway, we took about 2 years, like many of you in this room, or perhaps some companies you've invested in, and we proved our concept. And finally, we had our own success stories, and we had client success stories. But really, I'm here today to talk about your success story and your growth. So let's see if I can move these slides. It's really all about you and the way you want to move and grow your organization. And I've worked with founders, investors, et cetera, startups, and Fortune 500 companies. But we always have to start at the beginning, right? How do you want to grow? Where do you want to grow? So the first step really in this journey is about refining your target market. I have met so many founders, CEOs, and investors that think their new widget or service is great for everybody. And, you know, once in a while it is. There's Coca-Cola, right? Every once in a while there's something for everyone. But if you go about your marketing strategy in that way, you're going to waste a ton of time and way, way, way more money. So the first thing we have to think about, of course, is who are your best prospects? And that could be in many different ways to come up with who your best prospects are, depending on your industry. And then define your geography. And I met a lot of people here over the last couple of days that want to do business in the U.S. and or partner with businesses in the U.S. or have U.S. companies invest in their groups. And you have to define your geography in the states because we're so large that every part of the state has a different taste level. And actually, we were just discussing that, right, Lusine, over lunch. We talked about marketing in Miami versus New York or the Midwest. We have little tiny individual markets within the U.S. So often you have to realize you've got to be fine-tuned and choose a place to start. The psychographics is everything depending upon what kind of business you're going after, but your psychographics could be partially the age and gender, but more importantly, their behaviors. Where are your potential customers going, living, breathing? How are you going to get their attention ultimately? This is the biggie, everybody. I don't care what kind of media you use. This is where you have to start. You have to get in touch with the soul, your brand DNA. Who are you? What do you want to project? Who are you going after? Honestly, we could talk about this for days. And when it is your time to develop your brand DNA, do not skimp. This is the most important step. And besides your USP, right, you know what your unique selling proposition is better than anybody. Think about it. And then we have to come into the place of what we call look and feel. How does your brand look and feel? What is the personality of your brand? What's your story and style, and give it a voice and a personality? And then we worry about crossing it over onto all of our different media platforms, which is brand cohesion. But just to kind of bring it to light, you have to think about, are you a company that wants to look clinical and very clean because you're doing a lot of business in the medical sector? Are you sustainable? Do you want to attract like-minded partners that are into sustainability and being green? Are you super into AI, high tech, and some of the things that we just heard about that I don't even know a lot about? But do you want to look super futuristic and modern? Maybe you want to feel warm and inviting because all of your competitors look too futuristic. And then there are things like, you know, are you going to be involved more in entertainment or fashion, lifestyle, restaurant, nightlife? You might want to be super cool, fast, attracting a young customer. All of these things are part of your brand DNA. And you've got to think about who your competitive set is and then how you want to stand out. You cannot spend too much time in this area. Then we can talk about creating brand buzz and brand awareness. There's a lot of ways to do it. Of course, you're all familiar with all the new innovative technologies that are involved in media. There's tons of them. If we were having this conversation maybe 25 years ago and you asked, how do I get out there? How do I make noise? I might have said, put all your money in a Super Bowl commercial. Everyone will know you. That doesn't work anymore. That's one cog in the wheel. So we have to get out there and we have to make noise. We have to cut through the clutter. And there are different ways to do it. Some are very scrappy and low budget, and sometimes that's part of engaging in PR tactics. You need noise. You need something to talk about. You don't just put out a press release and you get covered. You have to create a story about that. And often it's the PR people, your marketing team, that will do that. We spin things to get covered. That's organic publicity. But in order to get covered, you might want to consider doing an event. Let's say you want to attract investors. You're in a new market. They don't know you in New York. They've never heard of you. Well, once you have your brand look and feel and position together, translate it into a pop-up event. Get out there, meet people. You have something to talk about on your social media platforms, in your press releases. Host people. Have an affiliation. Maybe you have a client that really is a VIP, perhaps in another market, or a celebrity in another market, but utilize that, maximize it, and put that into press-worthy pieces of information. And then there are these combination medias that are in between organic and paid for. They're not quite advertising, but they're definitely not PR. And the big distinction is money. When you pay for messaging, you have total control. You can dictate the time, the place, and the message. You've paid for it. When it's PR and organic, it's really up to the editor or producer or blogger or influencer that you pitched. You can't control them. You can't tell them what to say. You can put it out there. So we have a hybrid. In our industry, we typically call it advertorial. It looks and feels like editorial, like a third-party endorsement, but we've actually paid to play. And often, whether it's B2B or your consumer, you can't really tell the difference. So these are things that you should just know about. Of course, the big buzzwords now are in podcasting. My God, everybody has to have a podcast. Whatever segment you're in, you either have to be interviewed on a podcast or you have to host a podcast. Big deal. And of course, the overused word is influencers. And we love them. So all the influencers that are watching out there on this streaming platform today, we do love you. But it can be very confusing. There are nano influencers, micro influencers, big time mega influencers. And usually that's attached to a statistic. And I know a lot of people in this room are about statistics and money and percentages, but they can fool us sometimes in media. And in this world in particular with influencers, you see, oh my God, they have 5 million followers. I need that person. Not always. If their engagement isn't good, if their stickiness isn't good, it might not help you. Paying much, much less for a tiny nano influencer that has a very strong following might help you much more. So we have to consider all of these things. We need trusted media partners. And really, the magic sauce is getting the right combination of all of these tactics based on your budget. Here we go with the money again, right? It comes back to your media planning and how you're going to spend the dollars. And we do have so many choices that it can be mind-blowing because there are day segments and, again, size of influencers you want to pay for. There's guerrilla marketing. There are many words that you're going to hear out there. And it's very important to go back to that first slide and define your market. That is going to help you choose a geography to market in, a psychographic, because it's overwhelming otherwise, and it will cost way too much to get in the game. I'm a big believer in building. You want to put the toe in the water. You want to test. You want to see where your responses are coming from, and then go deeper into them. We've got to build. Another way, of course, to make some noise is to build credibility. If you're coming into a marketplace where you are virtually unknown, you've got to look credible. You can't just talk about yourself. You can't just put out your own material. You have to have somebody that is respected and important say you're the greatest thing since sliced bread. And there are a few ways to do it. You can get third-party validation and good reviews with a success story. You can get quoted in your trade publications, whether that's in the finance world. There's some incredible broadcast opportunities out there, podcast opportunities, as well as traditional print. And then you want to have some proof of what you've said. You want to have some kind of success story to put out there. And it can be from another market, but these are all things that will build your credibility, the credibility of your company, of your product, and it's also who you surround yourself with in that new marketplace. Often you can, with the help of a marketing team, you can find some like-minded partners, and perhaps those partners are bigger than you, and you'll get the rub-off effect of being in the same room, in the same white paper, in the same press release as them, and it will help you create goodwill and credibility. And then, of course, the obvious, this is just out of my own owned media, we all have websites, we all have social media. You might have all of these other things, or maybe just one or two, that will be part of your own media that you can control. So besides your website and your social media channels, you have a range of collateral. Let's say you do an event, you're at a trade show, you have your own signage, your own collateral materials, giveaways, handouts. It sounds simple, but think about it. You don't have to pay for that media. It's yours already. Control it. Just a reminder. And then I'm going to leave you with this slide that seems kind of ridiculous, I know, but it's my way of reminding everybody in the room, we are really all white shirts. We come into a new market, we're a blank canvas. Nobody knows us, and some of us might have some preconceived ideas if they've never heard of the name. But if I had this rack of white t-shirts right here, and I said to everybody in the room, it is our pleasure, come up and grab a t-shirt, take whatever you want. You might come up, you might look at it, touch it, and grab one. I could have the same exact rack of white t-shirts, and one in the neck label says Chanel, and the other neck label says Dolce & Gabbana, and maybe one says Macy's. I think I know which one you're choosing. And it's all about creating an emotional connection and doing it really well and doing it consistently to make impact on your audience and to have memorability. And I really, really want to leave you with that idea, because you have to create who you want to be. You have to first know who you want to be, then create it, and then get the word out there. So I wish you all so much success, and any questions, I'm happy to help anybody in the room.
Thank you so much, Mindy. If anyone has a quick question, by all means, we are attempting to make some time on the agenda. Otherwise, we welcome networking with the speakers during the reception. All right. Thank you very much, Mindy. Our next speakers, we welcome Enterprise Armenia. Please come join us. We have Investment Director Aram Vartanyan and Levon Ohanesyan, CEO. Welcome.
Dear colleagues, friends, I would like to give a brief introduction to our organization. I am the CEO of Enterprise Armenia, which is the national authority established by the government for investment promotion and support. The chairman of our board is the Prime Minister of Armenia. We serve as a primary point of contact, providing comprehensive information, guidance, and support throughout the investment process to both foreign and local investors. We offer services such as investment opportunity identification, business matchmaking, facilitation of necessary permits and licenses, and aftercare support, and of course, all our services are free of charge. During this year, Armenia has implemented numerous business-friendly reforms to enhance the investment climate. These reforms focus on simplifying bureaucratic procedures, streamlining regulation, and improving the ease of doing business. At the same time, Armenia boasts a highly educated and skilled workforce, particularly in technology, engineering, and science. The labor cost in Armenia is relatively competitive compared to other countries in the region, making it an attractive destination for business-seeking skilled talent. The government of Armenia offers various investment incentives to attract foreign direct investment and has invested in developing supportive infrastructure. Furthermore, the country has fostered a vibrant innovation ecosystem with numerous technological parks, incubators, and accelerators, creating opportunities for collaborating and technological advancements. Armenia offers a continuously evolving and adapting investment climate, a stable banking system, and skilled workforce. The government provides incentives and sector-related programs that create favorable conditions, making the Armenian economy a lucrative, reliable, and future-oriented destination for investments. Before I pass my floor to my colleague to present the sector more in detail, I would like to thank our dear Emma and the rest of the Orion team for inviting us and organizing such a spectacular event. Thank you very much.
Esteemed audience, ladies and gentlemen, dear Moxie, I felt that I really have to greet Moxie. She looks so alone in the back of the room. And basically we are living in fascinating times, actually, imaginable only in sci-fi books of my youth, where during your presentation or opening speech you really have to consider greeting a robot, because, well, but not all the robots, but Moxie in particular, just because she has emotions, right? She is emotional. So I felt that I really have to greet her. I don't know whether that is appropriate, her as well. My name is Aram Vartanyan. I'm investment director at Enterprise Armenia. And I would like to bring a success story, not about a company, but basically the industry that nowadays can be considered in Armenia as a success story. But eventually it will lead, I believe, to the success of a whole nation and the country. Before I go deeper into the industry and sector, I would like to reiterate some information that Minister Yeremyan already presented. So over years, in previous 5 years, past 5 years, Armenia has been registering a steady economic growth at the rate of 5, 6, 7% with ups and downs. And the most significant down during 2020 because of global COVID pandemic, indeed, and Artsakh war as well, which we were able to recover already in 2021, almost recover. But 2022 was really a special year, groundbreaking and record year for Armenian economy. We registered almost 30%, 13% of economic growth, which was a record for the whole modern history of Armenia. Our economy is relatively small, a modest one, around $20 billion. With the main sectors of economy, traditional ones like agriculture, industry, construction, and the biggest portion goes to services and trade, where the biggest drivers indeed are information, communication technologies, and tourism. Now, speaking of investment climate overall in Armenia, the government of Armenia has declared and is implementing an open door policy towards foreign investors. And this is not just words, but basically a reality reflected in the regulatory environment. We're a very open country for investments. There are almost no restrictions when it comes to investing by the foreigners. We apply almost no restrictions sector-wise or regulatory-wise. The equal treatment is embedded by the law, which basically means that the conditions and regulations for foreigners cannot be less favorable than the ones for citizens and nationals. Even further, foreign citizens can own 100% of resident company, and this company, in their terms, may own a land in Armenia. So technically, foreigners can own a land in Armenia. If they are physical persons, then can have long-term lease contracts. Indeed, no restrictions on remittances, on repatriation of profits, on foreign currency exchange, and importantly on staff recruitment, which is crucial when it comes to IT sector. So this is very in a brief. Now coming to the ICT. Overall, last year the ICT contributed more than $1 billion to the overall gross domestic product of Armenia, which is more than 5% of our GDP. If we take the latest data, I was browsing today, 5% of GDP for IT, for ICT, is for the countries like Central Europe, Baltic countries, Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, and Nordic countries. It means that sector is really big, and it's having enormous momentum nowadays. 60 IT countries, according to the last year results, were amongst 1,000 biggest taxpayers. So we're always thinking that IT contribution to the economy is usually indirect through the highly paid jobs, through the indirect effect that it is bringing to economy, though being less capex intensive in comparison with other traditional sectors of economy. But nowadays we see that almost 60 companies are biggest taxpayers in Armenia. How can be it characterized? Well, all these 4 were very insightful days. I believe they already gave an answer how Armenian IT can be characterized. But overall, first and foremost, it is the people, talent pool, skilled, educated, usually speaking different languages, which is prerequisite for foreign companies to organically come and grow in Armenia. There is great support from the state. We even have a ministry which is responsible directly for information technologies. not only, but in particular. And also the education. It has been said a number of times that Armenia during Soviet period of time has been a Silicon Valley of the USSR, and that was just because of the strong education system. And we still bear this heritage, and we have this strong STEM education, but we also do develop for the rest, which I'll come later. Now, speaking of employment figures, as you see, the graph is very nice. It is growing at a very good pace. But last year, again, it was enormous also for the growth of employment in IT. For 2022, we have 33,000 registered tech workplaces, which is 10,000 more than in 2021. And one figure with which we are very proud is the number of women in tech. The figure nowadays, it's almost 40% in Armenia, very evenly, let's say, distributed. Whereas the global average, I believe, somewhere fluctuates around 20–25%. So way more than the average global average. Now, speaking of ecosystem, I mean, indeed, the IT cannot develop and cannot evolve this much without a strong ecosystem built around it, rising around it. As I've mentioned, the ministry is a pillar, is a cornerstone for the development of this particular sector, and through its different programs and initiatives like Engineering City, where they are creating a cluster for engineering companies, as technology parks in different other cities of Armenia, like in Gyumri and Vanadzor Technological Center, and coming to private initiatives like the TUMO, which is basically education for children up to the age of 14, 15, for creative arts, which is no more a monopoly for just Armenia. They are so successful, their model is so successful. There are TUMOs all over the world nowadays, from Berlin to Paris to Tirana, and now expanding to India, to United Arab Emirates, and so on, which are preparing the next generation for IT, like ARMATH project, which teaches robotics, engineering, starting from school, as well as venture capital, more than 10 VCs, I believe, one of the first starters, Granatus. And I specifically, aside from all of this, I would like to emphasize the Orion Worldwide Innovations with its whole ecosystem. Just before our arrival, we were talking with Emma in regards to development of IT, about the summit and so on. And we recalled that at the beginning of the rise of Armenian IT, there was a technological conference, Armenia, United States. It was called ARMTech. And it was aimed to bringing US expertise, business, money, and Armenia's mind and potential. And back then, it served its purpose. And now we have very strong, let's say, presence of US companies in Armenia. But nowadays, it's time for a new flagship. And I believe nowadays, Orion, with its summit, with Accelerator, with new Julfa project, this is something that will push our startup scene, our IT initiatives, to the absolutely new horizons. And a small prehistory, I'll go fast from this, how it started, like from USSR. Definitely we have strong potential after the collapse of USSR, lots of engineers, and Western companies, US companies in particular, they understood this potential and started to outsource a lot of development coding works to Armenia. And from the moment that the amount of these works they approached some critical mass. They understood that there is a need to have physical presence of their offices, of their representations. Nowadays, global companies, Synopsys, having more than 1,000 people working there in Armenian office, being the biggest, the largest foreign office for Synopsys aside from US headquarters. Adobe, AMD, German TeamViewer, EPAM, I can go on, National Instruments, Cisco, Oracle, a lot of companies. They have physical presence, R&D centers, hundreds of people, thousands of people working at their offices. Last year, as again continuing the logic of breaking the records, Armenia hosted more than a couple of hundreds Western, US, and European IT companies. It was not a record year. I believe it's a pivotal year. Having landed R&D center of $1 trillion worth NVIDIA, having blue chips like microchip technology, Align, Grid Dynamics, and so on and so forth. This was huge success for Armenia. And continuing the last stage of let's say, the development of IT is the rise of our unicorns. Indeed, PixArt, being the first Armenian-born, Armenian-raised unicorn, cemented Armenia's place on unicorn map, on VC map of the world. But indeed, I mean, it's not the only unicorn that we're having. And while speaking about Armenia, we are talking about at least 4 unicorns that we are having. And I think that this summit overall is something that will make this exact slide to be not just one slide, but a couple of slides with different logos, with different unicorns, and so on. So I can go for very long, but for the sake of the time, thank you so much. I really appreciate being here, and hopefully we will see our startup system growing further. Thank you.
Yeah. We will be making time in the agenda. If we could have the questions and the networking time. Thank you. Thank you very much. Fantastic to see the pivotal years in the Armenian ecosystem. With this, we will be going to new heights, and specifically space. I would like to welcome Dr. Sharib Khan of TrialX, a recent awardee of a NASA-funded initiative. Dr. Khan, welcome. You have the floor.
I'll try a little bit of the Armenian that I picked up. So, Barev. I hope I did well there. So thank you, Mary. I think that went well. But yeah, I'm Sharib Khan. I'm the co-founder and CEO of TrialX. And folks, really excited to be here to talk to you about what success means to me personally and what kind of impact TrialX as a company is having in the area that we are working on. So just very quickly, I started TrialX with my co-founder, Dr. Chintan Patel. We met at Columbia University, right here in New York City. We are a New York City company. A little bit of changing from Armenian-American companies to Indian-American companies here. So namaste as well. It just happens that the Indian Prime Minister is in town as well. So yeah, myself and Dr. Patel started the company. And as Armin said, we are really proud of the work we are doing at TrialX, connecting people like you and many others to participate in clinical research. That's what's needed to get new treatments to the market, and helping people participate in clinical research here on Earth and now in space with the grant that Armin mentioned. And I'll show you a couple of pictures later in the end. But really excited to talk to you about it. And since the session was about success, I wanted to take a step back and really just spend a little bit time on understanding what success really is. And, you've seen these famous pictures, people, it could either mean money, fame, power, exclusivity. Success can mean different things to different people. And really doing this tech entrepreneurship life for 15 to 18 years now, for me, it's come down to that success is personal. And honestly, if this is one thing you can take from these next 10, 15 minutes, as entrepreneurs in this room, I think this will really help you. Through all those days when you're doubting, why did I start this company? Why I am doing what I'm doing? Understanding that whatever you're doing, your criteria for evaluating success is really personal. It comes down to what you want your life to be about. And it took me a long time to understand what I wanted to do in my life. And finally, I realized that the purpose for my life was to find my potential. And it took me, quite a long time to really understand what I wanted to do. That's, learning how to program computers in the 80s in India as a, 8-year-old. Very fortunate to have access to computers at that young age. Went to med school. And I know some of you have seen Indian students come to Armenia for medical school training. So I went to med school in Delhi. And right when I graduated, they had sequenced the first, the human genome got sequenced in 2000. And that was when I really realized that I could take my love for whatever little computer programming I learned as a kid and what I learned in med school and study biomedical informatics. So I came to New York, Columbia University in 2003. And once I discovered what I love doing, that kind of became my purpose in life. And I hope that is the story for all the entrepreneurs in the room. And since then, I've just been living my potential. And you see, I've really highlighted that word live. It's really not just living, but being alive, living your potential. I don't feel I go to work. I feel I'm doing what I was born to do. And that's so exciting because that is what has continued to fuel us as TrialX as a company 15 years since what we have been doing. So I really, really hope this resonates with all the entrepreneurs in this room. If you can find what you love and you can continue doing what you love, that is success. I mean, that is my criteria of success. So once I found that calling of my life, I cut down all other choices I could have. I didn't pursue being a neurosurgeon that I was trained for. I knew I wanted to start my own company. And that's the story of TrialX. I started TrialX with our first public launch and mention was in the New York Times. It couldn't have been a better start to a two-person company to be mentioned in the New York Times with partnerships with Google and Microsoft. I mean, it was like a dream come true for us. And both those products of Google and Microsoft, they finally got abandoned. So I can claim and stand here that we as a company have outlived $2 trillion technology titans, and we are still here. And I hope that excites you all to make some claim down the road. And this is, in 2009, I'm only highlighting this because it goes back to what is success. And to me, it is about doing what I love. This app, the TrialX app, to help a patient find a clinical trial near them, was developed in 48 hours. Myself and my co-founder, another friend of ours, we were actually hanging out on a Friday evening because our third friend was visiting us. And we got to know that our competitor is about to announce an iPhone app, the first app for patients to find clinical trials on Monday. Somehow we got wind of that. We left what we were doing. Friday night to Sunday night, we had already made an app and submitted it to the App Store. It can only be because we love what we're doing. It was not work. It's not work for us. So I hope that resonates with all the founders here. That be excited about what you do and be ready to jump into it, even if it's a weekend. And this is 2011. Here's my dream. December 31st, I celebrate my New Year's in Vegas. Okay, I have a party. We party till 5 in the morning. 7 in the morning, I'm flying to Hawaii. This is to receive an award from the National Cancer Institute to build the best cancer application to help patients find a clinical trial. So as a company, we got recognition from NCI. We got, a great award in Hawaii. So you never know. If you love what you do, you might get awards like this and have to go to Hawaii to receive them. I didn't complain about that one. And then this is, again, me and my co-founder. We won a national federal government challenge. And those were the early days to bring revenue to the company. We were winning these software challenges in healthcare. And this challenge gave us $75,000, which was like angel investment for us. I was like, yeah, there you go. And this happened in Vegas as well. We went to Vegas to collect that award. Now, talking about the impact of this innovation. This is another thing. If you're a founder, there's never a no in your mind. We met this gentleman. He was coming from Australia. He had just started this big initiative in the life science industry. You see all those big pharma company logos. And he was the chairman of the company. His CEO told me, you can meet this gentleman only for 2 hours at the baggage claim of JFK Airport. He'll be there, and he's flying to Australia, and that's it. That's your time. So at 7 in the morning, we go to meet this person who turns out to be like me, an MD, now doing a technology company. He loved what we were doing, and he said, guys, I love you guys. By the time I land in Australia, you will get a contract from my company to build this database. This became the largest database of its kind for the entire pharma industry. All those logos you see, these were big pharma companies whose data was housed in an application that we built for this company. And it happened on JFK baggage claim number 7 or something like that. So be ready, guys. Just be ready. If you get a call, if the opportunity is knocking, it may be that opportunity that you have been waiting to get. It might happen in that baggage claim. Be ready. What I'm saying is, if you're an entrepreneur, you can be ready to talk about your work at 2 in the morning. If I come and knock at your door and say, hey, what do you do? Fastex, what do you do? I say, I do this, or whatever. You should be ready to convince me that I can, by the time I land in Australia, I've given you a contract worth millions of dollars to build this database. Again, talking about entrepreneurship, and this is a little bit connect to Armand and Badge. This is an app we developed purely out of innovation and the restlessness we as a team have. It was the first app where you walk and you convert the steps you walk into bitcoins you earn every month. And it became extremely successful. It was just a fun app. We just put it out there. I think we did $100 of advertising. And we had all these people from China who were like walking 30,000 steps, 22 hours a day. And we were like, of course they are faking it, and they would send us angry emails. And, hey, your server is down. My steps didn't convert into my 0.00001 Bitcoin. I want my 0.001 Bitcoin. Anyway, this was when Bitcoins were $200 a Bitcoin. And you were not allowed to purchase a Bitcoin if you were in New York. So I had to get somebody in Minnesota to buy Bitcoins and give them to us so that we could distribute these Bitcoins. But the story is, that little innovation hack, I connected with Armand, and he said, hey, I love this, and I'm going to start a new position soon at this big company, and I think maybe we'll be able to do some work together. And from there, we ended up building a big platform for the company that Armand was working at that time. And then, we did all these mobile apps. In the process, this is me doing a headstand, looking at clinical research and trials upside down and having some fun. And that conference organizer almost, he skipped a heartbeat. He was like, this is a liability about to happen. This is TrialX at the White House. We were invited to the White House to give a demo of our technology to help Lyme patients collect their data. That's Dr. Karlopian and James Hurry. He is the director of the Space Health Institute at Baylor College of Medicine. They selected TrialX among 24 companies to build the database for commercial space flights. And this happened right after we were part of the first cohort of the Badge Accelerator. That's me really enjoying my persona of a space flight participant, going at conferences and getting people excited about it. And today, into 2021, TrialX launched the database to collect all health data from commercial space flight participants, all these billionaires going in space. All their health data is coming to TrialX so that NASA and researchers can understand what will happen if you call up SpaceX tomorrow and say, I want to go to space, but I've had one knee replacement and one cardiac procedure. Will I be safe? And they can say, yes, we have people like you in the database. And when they went up, they were all fine, and you can fly too. So that's the idea of this database. Very exciting work. Last year, we got selected by the NIH to power the clinical trial recruitment for the largest COVID study going on right now to study the impact of COVID on people who have had it for more than a month, long COVID. This is the RECOVER study. And again, with the space scientists just last month talking about what we're doing with the space mission. And as a company, we try to have fun and we try to push our folks to develop new exciting things. So this is you'll probably see the mountains very much like Armenia. This is part of our engineering team in Kashmir in India. And I told them, hey, I want you to hike up this mountain, go and simulate the environment of Mars or some deep space off the grid. And there they are, and they're showing the technology can work completely off the grid to store all health data. And that little box that the gentleman in the middle is holding, it's a little box where all the data can be sent from Apple Watches, ultrasound devices through that off-the-grid iPad app. And we demoed this to the space agency, and let's see. Hopefully they will give us the grant to build this box so that when astronauts go to deep space missions, they can have all the data in this box and get alerts if something is going wrong. They don't have to rely on people on Earth to monitor and help them with health monitoring. So that's TrialX trying to help take research to space. And in the 15 years, we have worked with all these companies, and that's because 15 years ago, I decided my purpose in life is to do what I love. I found my calling, and we started a company, and it's been a great, exciting journey. And with that, I'll try it again one more time. Shnor, Kulitsyan, Emma, and Armin for inviting me, and it's just been a great ride to know you guys and be a small way a part of connected to Orion and Badge. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Armin. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Khan, for coming in for the special session today. Indeed exciting right after the Enterprise Armenia session. Perhaps Armenia is ready to re-engage with space technology. Very exciting all around. With this, we'll be continuing to keep pace. I'd like to invite Edgar Evoyan, Chief Executive Officer of ARFI Investments.
Hello, everyone. My name is Edgar. So thank you. First of all, thank you for organizing this event. And as you know already, the theme of this event is investments, positioning Armenia. And I'm very sorry Emma lost his voice. So I'm sure we would hear we would hear this a couple more times today. So I'm happy that ARFI has, we are here to assist this and position Armenian companies online where everybody can invest online only. So ARFI stands for Armenia Financed. It's the first equity crowdfunding platform in Armenia, and maybe the first equity crowdfunding in the world which is backed by government. So ANIF is Armenian National Interest Fund is the shareholder of ARFI platform. To illustrate this, we are like an online bridge with two security points. So from one side, we only open doors to those companies who pass our acceptance criteria, and from the other side, we only let those investors who pass our KYC online to make these investments. So to illustrate even further, we added two ads that we prepared for for our marketing purposes, and which are not public yet. So the first one is about a student living in France who, despite the small amount of savings, she can invest into Armenian companies, and because the entry level is very low, you can invest as low as 100 euros. Sorry.
Ես Արփին եմ, ապրում եմ Փարիզում։ Est-ce que le commande la prête? OK, jusqu'à dans 2 minutes։ Աշխատանքն ու դասերը իհարկե կարևոր են նշում, բայց մեր օրերում հաջողակ ապագայի համար կարևոր են նաև ճիշտ ներդրումները։ Եվ ես հիմա այդ ճանապարհին եմ։ Շուտով բոլորը կիմանան, թե Արփին ինչպես հասավ հաջողության։ Արփին ARFI-ի շնորհիվ։ Այսօր ես առաքում եմ։ Մերսի, հավաքում, որ ներդրումներ անեմ Հայաստանում։ ARFI-ի միջոցով դա հնարավոր է սկսած $100-ից։ Չկան սահմաններ։ ARFI-ն իրականացնում է ոչ միայն իմ երազանքը, այլ նաև նրա, ով սպասել է իմ ներդրմանը։ ARFI, այստեղ հնարավոր է։
So here we wanted to stress the idea that you can invest with very low minimum amounts, and these investments are accessible for all. I will not dive deep into the private investment schemes and where the equity crowdfunding stands, but I want to add some comments that we got the feedback during these 6 months talking to companies that especially from early stage companies, we got lots of demand, and now we can easily say that the business itself is validated, and equity crowdfunding has a lot of demand from both sides. A few words about the regulation. The regulation was accepted last year, February last year, and the maximum amount that one company can, the issuer can fundraise with these platforms is about $6 million per year, and without any low minimums. And the investment limitations for there is no investment limitations for investors, which is a good sign, of course. Of course, we have to set some cooling down periods and a lot of disclaimers for non-accredited investors. And you will see later on with a short presentation of how investors sign up and do these investments. But overall, the regulation is very easy and open to which can assist a lot of companies, even not only early stage, but also like mid-size, even big companies in Armenia can benefit from equity crowdfunding. So during this last 6 months, we've about 300 companies have requested their application, send their application, applied to ARFI. And we have so far approved 10 of those, which are kind of like mix of IT startups and classic production and services companies. The fundraising model is different depending on the type of company that is raising funds. So for IT startups, as you know, most of them, almost all of them, have had opened their headquarters in Delaware. So for those to benefit the equity crowdfunding platform, we are opening for them new sort of an SPV, an open joint stock company in Armenia. And after fundraising, we require them to make investment into this Delaware headquarters, so without this model, we couldn't. The IT startups couldn't benefit from this equity crowdfunding. So this was the only way. So to protect investors, we require them to do before we release the money. So when the fundraising is not happened yet, so the amounts are accrued in our escrow account at one of the banks, and we only release when this transaction is happening. So the same, almost the same, happens with another type of company. So if a company approaches us and says, you know, we don't want to reestablish or convert into open joint stock company, unless we know for sure that the fundraising will be successful. In that case, we say, okay, you can open a newly established open joint stock company, and then do the fundraising. And if that is successful, you can then acquire this parent company, and only then we will release the money. So we want to approach all the companies with their specifics in a different way, structuring the deal so that everybody can benefit the company, all the companies can benefit if they pass our acceptance criteria. So we are discussing ANIF co-investment option. It's not available right now, but we will be discussing this. It will be like a very short amount, like 10-15%, but it will give like more credibility to the companies. We are also we will have a special rooms for accredited investors, because we see demand from both company side and the investor side. There are a lot of companies that say we don't want to deal with lots of lots of investors, so they want to increase the ticket size. In that case, yeah, we will have these special rooms for accredited investors. Companies also will have access to business acceleration program. We are now discussing cooperation with IRIS Business Acceleration company. And to make this happen, we have integrated an online secure identification solution called SumsUp. And so this enables for the identification phase to be both very easy and at the same time very secure. And you will see on the next slide a very short presentation of this. We also integrated our securities registration part with the Armenian depository, and this allows the investors to see from the third-party application, like CDA Online, that they have this amount of securities of this company after the fundraising is successful. So this is a short presentation of a sign-up process. So first of all, the user sign-ups an account at the platform. and after receiving a token, they like enter into their account and start the identification phase. So Serge Grigorian kindly helped us with the identification part. So stay here, and it takes like 3 minutes. So here comes the identification part from the thumbs up that I was talking about, that we integrated into the platform. And shortly after, you can see that all this information is collected from the backend at SumSub platform, and it will. We have checked with the regulator, and it ticks all the boxes for anti-money laundering regulation in the country. So you can see here at SumSub application that all the information is stored, and all the data is only accessible to us. Even they don't have access to the data which is in the cloud, and they have like all the IT certifications available, IT security certifications available. So after that, we have some FATCA regulatory questions that we have to ask. This is just a dummy like numbers. So yeah, after this process, you can now invest. The user can now invest into one of the projects. So this is the required like disclaimers of all the risks that are present, and after the OTP, you choose the payment method. You can also choose pay later, because you have 4 days to cancel the investment. You can choose pay later, and yeah, that's it. So the investment is now committed, and yeah, it took like a couple of minutes only for this. The application due diligence and the criteria are very simple for you know well, but I would like to add just what support we have for the financial projections and marketing data. Most of the companies that approach us, they don't have like financial projections or financial analysts who can do the projections. So we don't say, okay, you have to do it. Unless you do it, we don't accept the project. We help them in the financial projection part, and we also help in the marketing production part if the project is accepted in ARFI. And we are doing it with the first 10 of those companies that already accepted. We're going to launch at the end of August. So starting September, every one of you can invest online into these 10 projects. In the end, just let me finish my presentation with one of the other ads that we prepared, and this is for targeting Armenian investors. And we make a lot of so we think that Armenian has a lot of potential in investing into startups, and that's why we are approaching diaspora also, not only as an investor. We are saying you know, you can start your business in Armenia and fundraise with ARFI, and also Armenians definitely will invest into this project.
Այսօր կարևոր օր է, եւ այն սկսվում է ուրախ։ Այսօր ես կանեմ իմ առաջին ներդրում, այստեղ, Հայաստանում, ինչը դարձել է շատ հեշտ, ARFI-ի շնորհիվ։ ARFI-ում ես ունեմ ընտրության հնարավորություն։ Կարող եմ ընտրել նախագիծ, որն իմ շնորհիվ կդառնա գործող բիզնես, իսկ ես պասիվ եկամուտ ստացող։ Միայն հեռախոսը բավարար է, որպեսզի դառնաս հաջողակ ներդրող։ Մի հպումով։ ARFI, այստեղ, հնարավոր։
So with this, thank you all for your attention.
Thank you very much for this exciting development around crowdfunding. Indeed, a new entrant similar to venture studios in the innovation landscape and capital formation. I would like to ask our closing speaker for this portion of the program. Would like to invite to the stage Lusine Yeremyan, Senior Advisor to the Founder and Director General of Yeremyan Projects. Please, Lusine, you have the floor.
Okay. Good afternoon, dear Minister. Good afternoon, dear Deputy Minister, dear participants, fantastic organizers, and all the colleagues that we have here. It's truly difficult to speak after all these beautiful speeches from high-tech people, because what I'm going to talk about, our story is extremely different, but hopefully fascinating. So, as I've been introduced by Armen, I'm Lusine Yeremyan, and I am the senior advisor to the founder of Yeremyan Projects. That's my official title. A non-official one is that I am David Yeremyan's sister. I'm sister, but first of all, partner in crime, believing him to the extreme, but also his vicious critic. Well, he doesn't like that part, but it doesn't matter. Many of you know David as a very successful businessman, but what you don't know, that he started business, he entered into business very young. And by very young, I mean very, very young. He was like 12 years old when he just entered into serious business environment. It was 90s, right after the collapse of the Soviet Union, independent Armenian state. And my poor parents, they were believing in us so much that there is no questioning that. But they were thinking that there is definitely something wrong with their children. Because, as dreaming so big for such a small country, torn apart between the war, blockade, between so many challenges, it was just delusional and extremely reckless. But here we are, after nearly 2 decades, standing here and presenting Yeremyan Projects, one of the biggest taxpayers in Armenia and the largest company and hospitality industry in our country. Oh, thank you. This is for you, David. So somebody can translate him. That's the funny part of it, because he doesn't understand English, so I can say whatever I want. Since my childhood. So I kept all the things for 40-something years. Okay, so where we are located. Our company is located in Armenia. We have restaurants mainly established in the capital city of Yerevan, but our agricultural projects and canteen projects all over the country in other regions as well. And let me give you an overview, a very quick overview of what we do, why we do what we do, where and what is that key thing that makes us very unique, and we want to think that we're very unique, and where we're heading to. So established in 2001, Yeremyan Projects is a company that truly disrupted the status quo in the hospitality industry of Armenia. We transformed the culinary arts and hospitality industry in the country, and as a matter of fact, we changed the course of the history in this industry. And the whole philosophy of our company is based on a very simple motto, a very simple one. And you guys, you all know about that. And I will say in Armenian, and then I will translate into English for those who do not understand. In Armenian, it sounds like աշխատանքը սկսվում է երազանքից. The work starts with a dream, with a vision. And our vision of the future of the company is very forward-looking, with outside-of-box mentality, never taking no as an answer, but in a nice way, and thinking that goes beyond any conventional business models. Grit, stamina, hard work, attachment to Armenian roots, and belief in what we're doing made Yeremyan Projects grow from one person in 2001 to nearly 2,500 people in 2023. And I'm very proud for that. Over 20 years, Yeremyan Project has built an impressive portfolio of restaurants, from a burgery joint to haute couture, haute cuisine, that we used to say, with 16 top restaurants covering 11 restaurant concepts. And I'll very quickly walk you through all those concepts. So we have Armenian national cuisines, and I hope most of you recognize the places that you have been recently, and all the food that you have consumed, hopefully with love. So under this concept, we have Tavern Yerevan in 4 locations, Lavar, Sharib, and the Riverside, but I'm not going to talk about that, right? I just want to say one very important thing, and I talked about that yesterday too. Yeremyan Project is not about food only. We are not serving quality food only. We are providing experience, a journey, where different elements are combined together. Education, cuisine, food, agriculture, healthy lifestyle, and many other elements, right? Culture and many other elements. And Yeremyan Project is trying to distinguish itself in a way that we are in the center of the synergies. We create the synergies, and we try to really satisfy our customers. And we have fast food, but those fast food restaurants are very Armenianized, if I may use this word. I mean, even the burgery that we have, it has not a conventional burgers, but burgers with kufta. So you'd better try it. And then we will move to European cuisine part. This concept includes Smoking Chef, Steakhouse, Casa Nostra Italian restaurant, and Seasons restaurant concept. And Seasons is one of my beloved pieces because it speaks my heart. It covers 4 seasons of the year, so to speak. So we have restaurant, cafe, confectionery, gelateria, and Seasons Park. And this is an interesting model attached to this concept, which covers a park, right? And who would thought about that? Yeremyan Projects rebuilt and maintains this park in the heart of the city to host festivals, cultural events for the residents of the city and the guests of the city. And fine dining, something that we all love doing, right? Under the fine dining, we have 2 exquisite restaurants. Livingston, with the Livingston Jazz Orchestra, conducted by a very famous Armenian maestro, Yeremyan and Renommé. The latter offers a Michelin star restaurant equivalent experience with 12 signature dishes. And if you happen not to be there, you missed a lot. And let's go to the heart and the soul of what we're doing, right? So what makes us so unique? Why we're so proud of what we're doing? So we established top-notch agricultural enterprises, including feed manufacturing, smart farms for purebred cattle and pig, food processing factory. We started production of milk, dairy products, and processed meat. We created centers of excellence, Yeremyan Academy of Culinary Arts and Hospitality, in partnership with City of Oxford College, and combined these business models with the restaurant business by adding innovation. Actually going beyond the conventional restaurant model. In simple terms, we grow special food for our cattle, who then provide high quality meat and dairy products that are used in our restaurants on top of the food prepared by our factory, which then served in our restaurants by our talented chefs that are prepared in our academy. Basically, we took the restaurant business to a completely different level, created strong synergies between so many sectors, right? Such as agriculture, food, light industry, education, culture, tourism, that contribute to the country's economic growth and sustainable development. And I would this is our dairy products, laboratory, academy. And I will just quickly go through some of the projects, events, and initiatives. As you all know, and hopefully you do, we have a very creative team, crazy creative. So, which means we work a lot. So Yeremyan Project is the first in the country that designed a program offering the tourists visiting Armenia and anyone interested in Armenian culinary take part in gastro tours. And it doesn't matter, you're coming from America, you're coming from other countries, or you're living in Massiv, in Yerevan. If you're interested in cooking something and learning something, just come over and do this experience and just have this unforgettable experience. And on the new projects, I would like to quickly mention about this investment program of the Eurasian Development Bank, the government of Armenia, and Yeremyan Project, with a total value of more than $50 million for the development of the purebred cattle and pig farms with a complete production cycle. And as a result, the milk production of the country will increase, and we will have 300 more jobs created for our people. And couple of other things that, and I really had a hard time to pick up the most outstanding events that our organization covered or organized or initiated, but I really wanted to talk about these 3. Hot Kitchen. It was a TV series, a joint initiative between Yeremyan Project and Armenia TV. And the goal was to discover talented chefs, young talented people, and through cooking battles, give them an opportunity to work with Yeremyan Project or do something interesting. So the country, the world has Gordon Ramsays, right? But we have 3 million, I hope 3 million Gordon Ramsays in our country, waking up every day in the morning. So we had it enough. And Yeremyan Projects in 2018 prepared, David Yeremyan was the judge in that program. And he was not the best judge. In 2018, Yeremyan Projects prepared and served the largest gata in the world. And David was so ambitious. He said, I'm going to do something for the world to know us. And that something was just to create something big, large, tasty. And that was Gata, the largest Armenian Gata. It was weighing nearly half a ton, more than 60 meters in length, and it was a gift from the Yeremyan project to the capital city of Yerevan on the 2800th anniversary of the city. And this was recorded in Guinness Book of Records as the largest Armenian pastry, Armenian Gata, prepared. And frankly telling, from the PR perspective and from an Armenian perspective, it was another perfect advocacy element to position Armenia in an international arena. And Gastro Couture, this is my beloved one, was a joint initiative by Yeremyan Projects and a well-known fashion house in Armenia. It was a unique merger of two creative worlds, the world of food and the world of fashion. Who would thought about that, right? Food and fashion. But, I mean, they can go hand in hand, which is a form of self-expression in a specific context, such as time, place, and purpose. And the goal was to present the traditional Armenian cuisine in a new fashion. Well, the words work together. And, and another very beautiful initiative was to create synergies between, and attention, the photographers may be interested in it, synergies between lavash bakers and photo artists. Every lavash baked by a baker has its character coming from the baker. And none of the lavashes that is baked has any similarities, right? And the photographers portrayed that characters of lavash, and we had a nice exhibition. And lavash, everybody knows that lavash was added into UNESCO's representative list of cultural heritage. And of course, we do farm fests, events to discuss the role of innovation, and Armen would be thrilled to learn about that, and we would be happy to have you in one of our farm fests, where we're trying to find a way to integrate new technologies into farming industry and to further develop our this sector in the country. And another thing, ahead of the World Milk Day, Yeremyan Projects initiated Milk Day in Armenia, with the goal to revitalize the culture of milk consumption, which is an important part of our life because we believe that it really helps to maintain healthy daily diet. And we served, by the way, a recent event, we served milk to 5,000 people in an hour in our Seasons Park. It was a recent event for the Milk Day, and people really loved it. So why we do what we do, right? Why? Why all of this? A very simple answer, and maybe a very banal one, because we do love what we do, and we think that we're perfect for that. But seriously, because we believe that Armenia has all the potential, and David really tells it all the time. Most importantly, Armenia has talents and prerequisites to become one of the leading countries in culinary arts and hospitality industry. And we're very serious on this. And this model that we're using in our business is based purely on our needs, driven by our vision and stemming from who we are. And we are a company that is very serious about the quality, about authenticity, about innovation, and we truly believe that any company, successful company, cannot survive without having a very robust, strong, and efficient system. And we're very proud of our system, right? And a couple of words about authenticity. That's my beloved part. Oftentimes we take authenticity as granted. Why? Because we simply think that we're one of the oldest nations in the world, the first nation that adopted Christianity as a state religion. We have Ararat, we have the wine industry, the winery coming from 5,000. We have everything there. But are we capitalizing on that? I don't know. That's a big question, right? So what we did, our very humble investment in that, and by we, David, with his brand chef, they traveled to all the regions, all the remote areas, all the villages in Armenia to collect hidden and forgotten recipes coming from generation to generation. Just writing all of this to publish a book and make it one day, very soon, make it a book that we can all go through. And all these recipes are used in our restaurants. And system for innovation, and I promised to say that to Armen, we use quite a bit of innovation in our farms for monitoring our cattle and also for feeding, but I believe it's not enough. And we need to find different ways of collaboration or involving scientists into agriculture, and this is another thing that we can discuss, right? So we do lots of research and development work, and the last and in fact the most important element is the system. And I want to talk about that, because if I don't, David will ask me and you will translate, right? And we'll say, no, she didn't talk about that. From very early stages, we came to the conclusion that what makes a company successful is not, sorry to say, is not an idea, is not money. It's not network. Not really. Believe us. It's people. People. As simple as it can be. And when you find the right people and you find the talents in that people, even though if they don't know about their talents, that's fine. Because you know that they have talents, right? And then you find the right ways to make the right people work together, to operate on the systems, on the processes, on the tools. That's the success. That's the happiness, actually. And that's what drives the successful companies. And that's what makes them grow. And this business philosophy is what ultimately ensured that even the company that started with one person, I was just disturbing him when I was a kid. He started all by himself. It can operate smoothly if that person is not around. This is very important. If he's not around, the system works like a clockwork. And I want to say that David founded and built this system of organizational excellence, and he's very proud of that. And I know that I'm going out of my time, so I need to run a little bit. And here are some stats, but I don't want to talk about the stats. What I want to say, and I will borrow this sentence from David. He says, our company has done a lot. He says that, he asked this question, how many times daily are you able, or you want to, or you have an opportunity to talk about Armenia? How many times? 3, 4, 5, 10, maybe 100. We talk about Armenia, being in Armenia, 5,000 times a day, because we have 5,000 guests a day in our restaurants. Just imagine if we have something here, we can speak 300,000 times a year, even more. I'm just giving a random number. And these people will go back to their homes talking about us all the time. And at the end, I want to talk about culinary diplomacy, which is our beloved topic. So as opposed to conventional diplomacy, when words are used to influence events in the international system, we use food and hospitality as crucial diplomatic tools to bridge cultures and spread the word about Armenia as one of the cradles of civilization and all the talents that we have. And we want to be the ambassadors of this big process. And this is the last slide. And in the beginning of my presentation, I started with the slide just to let you know where we were, where we are. Now that the company is expanding with new markets, we're looking forward to exploring business opportunities in this part of the world to increase the awareness of about Armenian heritage and people in this part of the world. So thank you so much, and looking forward to seeing you in Armenia.
Lusine, absolutely inspiring to hear the track record and the future impact of the Yeremyan projects. Indeed, here in New York and DC, we are excited on the back of your culinary diplomacy to continue technology and capital diplomacy. Fantastic. With this, I'd like to pick up the pace, and we have our final panel of the summit. So please, the panelists, join me on the stage. We have David Sahakyan, Deputy Minister of the High-Tech Industry, Souren Israelyan, founder of Souren Israelyan Law Office, Sebouh Nahabedian, Managing Director in the Credit Structured Solutions Group at Francisco Partners, Rafael Gevorkyan, Deputy Minister of the Economy of the Republic of Armenia, and Mark Chenian, Armenian Society of Fellows, Board of Directors. Please join me in a warm welcome for all of our panelists today. Well, let's jump right in. Our panel today will be on the Julfa Network of years of old and in current form. But first, let's start with a bit more expanded introductions from our panelists. Please, Deputy Minister Sahakyan.
Hello, everybody. I'm David Sahakyan. As it was said, Deputy Minister of High-Tech Industry of Armenia. I think that during these days, every day, in some days, many times, Emma was telling us what is Digital Julfa and what kind of mission it has. And taking into consideration the scope of the mission, I think our ministry as a high-tech ministry and as a ministry which represents the main brain power of our nation has a lot to do in this initiative, and I'm here for that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, David. Souren, please introduce yourself, and while you're at it, please provide us a bit of the context of the title of our panel, the Julfa Network. Please go ahead.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Souren Israelyan. I'm originally from Armenia. I immigrated to the United States, to New York City in 1991. I'm an attorney here, and this is an incredible program, and I enjoyed very, very much of the incredibly educated panelists and their speeches and what they do. But before they were families of the Rockefellers, before they were families of the DuPont or Vanderbilts, they were families of Lazarians, they were families of Minassians, there was families of Grigorians, there was families of Arutunians that controlled the world's trade in the years 1600 and 1700s. And we have much more to learn about them as to how what they did and been able to keep it in their control over 200 years, generation after generation. That is relevant today. So that's why I think it's just the context of it, of what we will be speaking today. At least I will be speaking on it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Souren. A warm welcome. Deputy Minister Gevorkyan, please introduce yourself, and would love to hear for the group your own traversing of the globe, where you were working previously and how you've returned to Armenia.
Thank you, Armenian. Good evening, everybody. So I'm Deputy Minister of Economy. My name is Rafael. I personally did a bit of traveling. So for 7 years, I lived in Luxembourg, worked there, and returned to Armenia relatively recently, 2 years ago, at the invitation of our minister. And under his leadership, for the last 2 years, we are trying to push certain reforms in our economy. And as it relates to the panel's topic for today, I believe that right now our country is in a very specific juncture where we can now fully see that being at the crossroads of two different worlds pays off. We have seen last year not just double digits, but very significant high level of trade increase, and our imports and exports almost doubled. Our trade deficit is at the lowest level historically, and I believe that certain people think that is this sustainable? Can this be this way for a long time, etc. I believe that this is our right place from the historic context, doing the trade and bridging two different worlds, being at the crossroads of two different worlds. We'll talk later a bit about our initiatives, how we see developing the infrastructure in a way that will support our current situation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Rafael. Sebouh, building on the intros and the discussion here, please convey some of your background and perhaps talk about, beyond trade, the capital networks. Please.
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. Armin, thank you. My name is Sebouh Nahabedian. I work at a private equity firm focused on tech and tech investing. I'm on the credit side of the business, and I'm a chief operating officer of the credit business. We're involved in private credit and directly originate loans with growth companies. Previously, I was with Blackstone for about 22 years and worked in a number of different business groups within Blackstone. But most importantly, so my career, I've born in New York, raised in New Jersey, always involved in the Armenian community, across the tri-state area and, throughout the United States. I think, and then having a, 25-year career here in New York, I think one of the most important things that we've done is we founded a Armenian finance professional network called the Armenians in Banking and Finance, which we did in 2007. Seems interesting that it was that long ago because it still seems new to me. And it was really just off the backs of a conversation of saying, hey, let's get a few of us together, maybe network, create some relationships. And so we did it. We started with like a few social events, happy hours, etc. here in New York. Word of mouth, got about 40, 50 people together that quickly, which was great. It was myself and two others, Rafi Setrakian and Ellen Tomasyan, who we each had a good network that we brought together. What's interesting is we all know what happened in 08, 09. You had the financial crisis, and I think during that time, the Armenian network came together to support all those individuals that were looking for opportunities or had lost opportunities, or just, how can we facilitate and help them out? So it became like a little bit of a, central point for Armenian professionals to meet, to look for opportunities and kind of get through difficult times. And then also, all the good times since then. But I'll kind of pause there and we'll pick up with it afterwards.
Thank you so much, Sebouh. Ladies and gentlemen, an important time warning. The summit will conclude in 24 minutes. Let's go for it. With this, Mark Chenian, always a pleasure to have you on panel. What would you add on this discourse as we're picking up different network elements from technology to capital to trade. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you very much for the invitation. It's really a pleasure to be here. And I don't think that for the rest of my life I'm going to have a June without Julfa and Orion. Since a few of my fellow panelists mentioned where they were born, so I'll mention mine. I'm an African American. I was born in Cairo, Egypt, and today I'm here. I represent a new phenomenon in Armenian reality, which is ASOF, which stands for Armenian Society of Fellows. And later on I'll elaborate as my turn comes around. But what is most exciting is that some of the missions that Armenian Society of Fellows has in mind for the foreseeable future, which is 20 years, I do see already certain ideas and concepts well represented at this conference for the last 4 days. And thank you very much.
A warm welcome, Mark. Let's conclude another cycle with our distinguished panel here. So, David, we talk a lot about high technology. Would love for you to discuss specific global centers and how we extend that network. What else is needed beyond the actual technology products to support the rise of industry and innovation across other industries?
Thank you. So, we have in our ministry such a vision to make high-tech industry as a, not English high-tech ministry, but Armenian high-tech ministry, which means that our ministry is responsible not only for high-tech industry of Armenia, but all high-tech companies of Armenians over the globe, which means that we combine all efforts, all knowledge or experience of Armenians globally, combine together and create a, let's say, new, more innovative, more creative solutions and products. And from this perspective, especially taking into consideration our, let's say, as a part of government, we have an opportunity to involve in this process all our embassies, diaspora community, and create an excellence center, create representatives of high-tech companies over the globe.
Thank you so much, David. Souren, I remember very distinctively the day you captured my imagination with educating me on the Julfa Network. Would love for you to share with us how you discovered this lost history and a few details about the previous network in terms of its cities, in terms of its impact. Please, Souren.
Well, I don't want to give a long story, but I came across this by happenstance. We were in an island in Pacific Ocean. We were waiting for a private plane to come to pick us up. I was just killing time, having tea, and there was a little library in the private airport. And I picked a book up, and the book was about Singapore. And on the fourth page of it, it was a fairly old book, black and white. There was a photograph of a hotel, an old colonial type of hotel, and there was people with the carriages, with the hand carriages, carrying people in front of it from either late 1800s or early 1900s. And it says on the bottom, Raffles Hotel, Singapore, built by, I forgot the names, Jacob and Petros brothers or something like that. And I'm like, who the hell is Jacob and Petros brothers who built a Raffles Hotel in Singapore in the end of 1800s? And I couldn't sleep till we got to Manila that day, just And that led me to understand that the people who were critical in building the Singapore were also critical in building other major centers in the Southeast Asia. In Myanmar, they had 4 churches. Then in Calcutta, in the Bengal region of India, they had a major centers. And the string of line led all the way to a town called Julfa, New Julfa in Isfahan. So that's how it all came about. But the line went a little deeper than that, and I think for today we are talking about family businesses, and it's not surprising to me that what Emma said and others said, that in Armenia 90% of the or 80% of the businesses, large businesses, are family businesses, and I think we should understand and appreciate that there is something there. Before the other before in 20 years ago they started family businesses, the Armenians had a large family businesses crisscrossing the world. And that's, borrowing Lusine Yeremyan's word, that's an authenticity. That is something unique to Armenians. And we should emphasize on that, and we should build upon it. Whoever didn't lose those tracks, like the Rockefellers or the DuPonts, have been able to succeed in incredible amount. As you might, some of you might know, recent studies have been done. The families with a major business accumulation in the first generation that are able to pass that wealth and the leadership of that firms and assets into the 3 generations, which called the 100 years families. Their median assets today of those families are $700 million. That's the current time. The Julfa were able to pass their major assets and major networks over 200 years. There is nothing like that anybody was able to accomplish in the human history, except few families that are names that we all know today. But coming back as to, they were not only good tradesmen, they were just what we can learn that people that did several 100 years ago. Forgive me, I'll be very short. A couple of things. One of them, they were ambassadors of culture, and not only the merchants. They introduced the East to the Europeans. They introduced European to the Asians, to the Easterns. And that was, they brought more to the table than they took to their mouth. And when they did it time after time again, they had more to it than everybody else. So just remember, and they had 3 assets that they held sacred. That was the honesty, that was the hard work, and humility. And those were critical ingredients of their success. There were other ingredients also. So let me stop there. I apologize for
Souren, thank you so much. Indeed, would highly recommend reading this history, as in many ways it's a guidebook for what we are rebooting today. Emma Arakelyan's holding the book here. So, Raphael, as Souren was just mentioning, in this old network, we had ties from the Near East to as far as the Philippines, to Acapulco in Mexico, to Amsterdam. Indeed, we have some of those cities represented in the room today. The question to you is, from the ministry, as we are rebuilding this network for the digital age, which cities should we have on top of mind as highest priority? For trade, for diplomacy? Please provide us some steer on this important activation.
Yeah, well, to name some cities, that's a tricky probably job to do. I won't do naming for sure. However, I do believe that in current geopolitical situation, obviously our close neighbors that are within close to our borders are critical to establish certain relationships with. we have been, I think lots of us, when I was little, I was looking at the map and I was thinking to myself, like, how come Armenia is in such a place where you have two hostile neighbors who want to kill you from time to time? You have Iran, which is, well, we have a border, but let's say it's semi-closed because of sanctions, U.S.-Iran relations, etc. And then you have the only way out, which is Georgian route, which has its problems as well. And you don't have sea infrastructure, you don't have port capacities. And I was always thinking that we are unlucky to be born in a geography like that. But times passed, and now I think that our geographic positioning is very unique, and we don't harness the full potential of it because for many years, for the last 30 years of our independence, we didn't manage to invest enough in our critical infrastructure to harness the potential of our location. We have started a North-South corridor project more than probably 10 years ago, 15 years ago, which we are still struggling with, and we hope that by the end of 2026 we will have significant achievements in that infrastructure project. The ministry has announced a new project related to the dry port, and all of these projects are aimed at harnessing the potential of our trade routes. And here we are mainly thinking about trade route from Mumbai, meaning from India to Europe. So our goal is to streamline the inter-country multimodal trade routes between Mumbai and European ports. And once we do that, probably our location won't be a problem anymore. It will be a huge benefit to all people of Armenia.
Fantastically exciting, and perhaps with our colleague Dr. Sharib Khan with some of the space tech work, we can consider a spaceport as well. Thank you very much, Raphael. Sebouh, please, to you, related question. How do you see us activating the capital networks, the customer networks? What's some input you would provide building on Raphael's response here?
Well, here I think it's, it is networking, similar events like this. I mean, this is an amazing, incredible event with incredible people here attending the past 4 days, and I think there are a lot of connections that are made that will, spur ideas, and that's kind of the concept of the ABF. And when I think about, I glanced through the charter of the Digital Julfa Network, and what struck me was its mission is to build wealth and advocacy. And I think when you work on that, and the idea of connecting individuals and bringing them together to be able to connect the dots, come up with ideas, work together, collaborate, I mean, all of that. And then also, of course, it's all geared towards how can we position this to benefit Armenia and help Armenia with it. So I think I come at it from a networking perspective. We all each have our own strengths, skills, experience, and we bring that to, whatever we do every day. And that's upon us to invest in ourselves and do that, ourselves. But then when we collaborate with each other and can position it towards Armenia, that's important. And I think that will, in addition to, I know, Mark, you had discussed the investment banking culture and having the proper regulatory bodies and controls, and all of that is needed for scalability, right? Like you kind of, the country's small, the GDP is small. There's you can make a meaningful impact, but but it's still big, right? And you kind of want to be able to, establish something where there's scalability, and in order to do that, you need the controls in place and the governance and all the proper process and culture in place. But again, like I said, when we establish networks and we come together and we meet and we discuss all of this and we're able to collaborate and come up with ideas, I think it generates the right results for what we want.
Thank you, Sebouh. Thank you for the kind note on the multifaceted charter. in terms of this network. It has multiple layers in geography, in trade, in capital, in infrastructure, and perhaps we had the initial blueprint from the Yeremyan group. Yerevan, it looks like we have direct flights now to Washington, D.C. and New York. Sounds great to me. Mark, my friend, I'm going to request your assistance as well as from the panelists. We have a hard stop coming up, so if you could please add the scholarship layer on this network and some of the insight, and then we'll do a quick run-through to close out the panel. Please.
Maybe I should go tell you the statistics and the anatomy of what ASOF is. I'm sure you all know about what think tanks are. That's basically what ASOF is. Okay, and the spread of, since we jumped from Yerevan to Washington and New York, I'll go the other way around. ASOF Fellowship is, as of this morning, 253. They come from over 190 disciplines from 28 different countries. That's the anatomy of ASOF. The areas in which we will be concentrating, I will not go into details because unfortunately our conference is exactly next week, and that's when there will be some very important announcements, so I don't want to preempt it. But just to say the following, that one of the areas of our concentration is the education in Armenia. Two different groups. One is pre-university level, and the other one the post-university level. And I'm very, very proud with the kind of program that we really developed and will be announced next week. Another area is the sciences. And one of the thoughts that we have is where science gets down to business. And that's one of the missions of ASOF. The other area is in different industries, including agriculture and things like that. And lastly, very, very important, is the healthcare area of the country. So these are the areas that we basically, which in a way I look at it as the infrastructure on which all the excellences that we were talking about for 4 days can be built on and move forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mark. With this, we are going to go through our final set of insights. So with this, my esteemed panelists, kindly in 90 seconds, provide a call to action from the audience, how to strengthen the collective network and support the facet of work you are doing. Please, David.
Thanks. First of all, I would like to say that probably from the process perspective, we have to develop the chain, we have to create a value, right? R&D, prototyping, let's say manufacturing, selling, service, etc. And as I said, we have to bring all our excellence to fill out these, let's say, cells of the chain and develop innovative products. And this network, as I said, should serve in order to bring these people into this process. And for example, it's impossible for 90 seconds, but for example, these 4 days I was looking at the commercial of the Yerevan project. I saw there 12 million customers. For us, it is 12 million customers, but for me, as a data scientist of 20 years, it's a data set of 20 million items. It means that another, let's say, person, another, let's say, scientist can join Yerevan project, and by analyzing this data, develop new services, new, let's say, products, which can be real technological innovation in an industry which, from the first point, technology is used only for automatization of this business. but by accumulating all this capital and brain, we can turn every single business in the world and make it high-tech business. And from this perspective, Armenians can create kind of close economy and help each other and improve market, improve the life of the globe.
Thank you very much, David. Souren, to you. Call to action, strengthen the network. 1 minute, please.
Okay, I'm going to answer the question that Emma asked me during a break, how to better position Armenia in the world. And my short answer is, to better advocate for Armenia, we have to advocate for others. To better advocate, to better position Armenia, we have to champion the causes of others, and it's better even for the champion the causes of humanity. Sometimes it doesn't take a big step for us, for the Armenians, but it's a big step for humanity. An example, when Armenia was the first one who accepted the Christianity a couple of years before the Byzantium. It was not a big step for Armenia, but the whole world followed. So that would be my suggestion on that.
Thank you so much, Souren. Raphael.
Thank you. I was actually thinking what should be my final remarks, and one thing that I think comes to mind is that one critical item on my agenda and as a priority in the government, I believe that after the Soviet Union, we've inherited public service as it is. We did some minor changes to it, and till today we were depreciating our capacities that we have inherited, be it in science, technology, whatever it is. And a few years back we discovered that we have amortized all that we have received, and we have not invested in those infrastructures so many years that we don't have nothing left there. And we need to build from scratch lots of new things. To build those new infrastructures and new institutions, we heavily need to rely on our think tanks. And here, ASOF, with the help of Souren, IP committee was established, harnessing the potential of our patent attorneys in US, Armenians in finance and banking, and Sebouh's vast experience in private equity. Those are the things that the government need to establish the new kind of institutions that would help to get to the breakthrough in our country. I believe that's the network that we have to use, and I personally use IP committee members to advise me on IP-related issues. Just last week, through ASOF, I found Arakelyan, who helped me to make sense out of nuclear technologies, small modular reactors, green hydrogen project that we are discussing. So lots of different, very fascinating ideas, without whom probably I couldn't really understand what makes sense and what doesn't. And I think this is the real potential that we need to use for now.
Thank you so much, Raphael. Sebouh, please, 30 seconds.
I'll be quick. I'm going to echo what Souren said in a way. It's like we need to support each other. We are small in numbers, and there's a lot of initiatives, a lot of groups, and I think by supporting each other, our numbers are stronger, and our initiatives stay stronger. So, support and get out there and help your fellow Armenian.
Thank you, Sebouh. Mark, final call to action.
Throughout history, we have been agents and contributors to the development of civilization, and therefore it is our duty to carry on that baton. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. With that, to keep time, I'd like to invite Diana Arzumanyan to come up as I close this final panel session. Indeed, it has been a privilege to participate. To summarize, we've heard the value of data, advocacy, infrastructure, support. And I'll leave the listeners at home with a warning, something I also learned from Souren. You may have heard of the Pirates of the Caribbean. Indeed, some of the most notable pirates were taken down for attacking Julfa ships in the Caribbean. So with that, with the new network, modern pirates beware. Please. Thank you very much.
Yep. Thank you, Armen. As today I already told everyone about our product that we're ready to launch. First of all, I want that we all together watch the video and then we'll tell more about the product.
Welcome to Orion Score, the world's first comprehensive scoring system that brings clarity and standard to both investors and startups. Financing innovation, risky, complex, and uncertain. But imagine a place where innovation thrives, startups succeed, and investors find their path. Orion Score establishes that ground. Now you can measure startup growth with ease by eliminating guesswork and delivering reliable insights. Startups are empowered to grow exponentially, attract investors, gain invaluable access to global networks and capital. In turn, investors can make fast and informed decisions by leveraging our scoring report. Together, let's redefine standards, success, create a world where innovation growth is better predictable and exponential. Unlock the extraordinary future of innovation with Orion Score.
Yeah, please, you can go our website, orionscore.com, and get Orion your score. These first 2 months, it will be free, and we are ready to work with venture capital and startups, and you can get your Orion score to be like more investable for global market.
I'm going to try to say Digital Julfa, April 1 to 10, we're going to open the first Armenian center, reestablishing Digital Julfa. Announcement number 3.
Without words, the forces felt there, Emma. So with this, we are looking forward to the center opening up in the Gulf states, specifically Dubai, putting many of the things here to action. We look forward to running into the Fastex team there. All right, with this, we are on close schedule to close. So for our final closing here, Minister Karobian, if you could come do the honor and close the session today.
You can go, yeah. Dear friends, of course, this was an incredible week for all of us, and a nice rediscovery of our potential as a country, as a nation, and I'm sure that the formula of the success of Armenia is laid in cooperation between people who live in Armenia and people who live outside in Armenia, and engaging professional Armenians and non-Armenians into the development of our country. And this may be, imagine, this may be even more important investment in Armenia, in-kind contribution, investing your skills, investing your knowledge, and what you did this week and for this week was an incredible effort. And I personally very grateful for you, for what you do, and hopefully we will continue the cooperation and make next year's Orion Summit in New York much more crowded and inclusive. Okay, in Dubai, okay. But also in New York. Yeah, and I'm thankful to all of you for this week, and hopefully we will materialize our ideas and our discussions into concrete projects and concrete economic results, and I'm sure for that. Thank you, everyone.
With this, we'd like to thank our illustrious organizers. Please come on up, organizers. Come on up. Be recognized. Indeed, hosting such a summit is a tremendous undertaking. And we just had, like the Olympics, a bid for Dubai and for New York for the subsequent one. So with this, would like to please warm me in acknowledging with a roaring round of applause to the team putting this together. So with this, I invite each of you to join the organizing committee, your old friends, your new friends, your strong network business ties, to join me and Moxie for music and drinks. The Orion Summit is closed. Please join us downstairs. Thank you very much.